Hello, my name is Fatima, and in this vlog, I will reflect on the equitable practices I explored in Module 4, Managing the Learning Environment, and how I applied them throughout my clinical practice in middle school mathematics. I will also discuss changes in my own beliefs about mathematics teaching and learning, as well as changes I observe in my students' belief and mathematical identity. At the beginning of my clinical practice, I believe that mathematics instruction should focus mainly on helping students master procedures and arrive at the correct answer. However, through my coursework observations and classroom experiences, I realized that equitable mathematics instruction is much more than teaching procedures. It involves creating a classroom where every student feels valued, capable, supported, and actively involved in mathematical thinking and discussion. One important equitable practice I implement was establishing a supportive and inclusive classroom environment where mistakes were viewed as part of the learning process. I consistently encourage students to explain their thinking, even when their answers were incorrect. This helped students feel safer participating in class discussions and reduce the fear of making mistakes. Over time, I noticed that more students were willing to share their strategies and ask a question confidently. Another strategy I used was differentiated instruction. My students had different learning needs, readiness levels, and confidence in mathematics. So I provided multiple ways for students to engage with the content. For example, during lesson on scale drawings and proportional relationships, I used visual models, guided practice, collaborative learning, and hands-on activities to support understanding. I also provided sentence frames and academic vocabulary support for students who needed language assistance. These practices help make mathematical discussions more accessible to all learners. I also focused on equitable participation by intentionally giving every student opportunities to contribute. Instead of relying only on volunteers, I use partner discussions, turn and talks, small group collaboration, and questioning strategies that encourage all students to participate. This created a more student-centered environment where students learn from one another and saw that there are multiple ways to solve mathematical problems. Throughout my clinical practice, my beliefs about mathematics teaching changed significantly. I now believe that effective uh, mathematics instruction is not only quickly covering content, but about developing students' conceptual understanding, confidence, and mathematical identity. I learned that students succeed when they are given opportunities to reason, communicate, and connect mathematics to meaningful situations. I also witnessed important changes in my students' beliefs about mathematics. At the beginning of the year, several students viewed math as a subject where only certain students could succeed. Some students lacked confidence and were hesitant to participate. As I continued using equitable practices and encouraging a growth mindset, I observed students becoming more engaged and confident in their abilities. Students began explaining their reasoning more openly, collaborating with peers, and demonstrating perseverance when solving challenging problems. One of the most meaningful changes I observed was in students' mathematical learning identities. Students who were initially quiet or unsure of themselves began contributing during discussions and taking pride in their mathematical thinking. They started to see themselves as capable mathematicians rather than students who were simply good or bad at math. Overall, this clinical experience has strengthened my understanding of the importance of equity in mathematics education. I learned that equitable teaching requires intentional planning, reflection, and responsiveness to students' diverse needs. Moving forward, I will continue creating learning environments where all students feel respected, supported, and empowered to succeed in math. Thank you for listening.